All right, today in the Master Series, we're going to talk about websites and app, the consumer-facing stuff. All of that can be found within Command, the tabs on the left-hand side under the Consumer tab. It's going to be pretty much down at the bottom. And remember, you can always click on the red KW in the top left corner for the words. So we'll click on Consumer. So once that loads up, it does come to your landing page list. Now, I've got a lot of landing pages I've created in here as testing and playing with things in Command for over a year now. If you haven't made any landing pages, you might not have any here, and that's just fine. Don't worry about that if your screen looks a little different. What we're actually going to do today, we're going to go into Site and App Settings towards the top right corner. And now when I get into the Site and App Settings, you get into the site setup by clicking on Learn More with Kelly Guides. There's two options in here. There's the agent site and the consumer settings. First, we're going to go into the agent site. Okay, now here it tells me a little bit more about what I should expect out of this guide. So I'm going to hit Get Started. And I have to acknowledge and continue that I'm going to use my brokerage DBA logo, and I'll comply to my local laws. All right, now I'm at the main page of the builder. On the left-hand side, you'll see your preview. On the right-hand side is your control panel. That's the information that you're changing, editing. That's where you make your adjustments and tweaks and changes. First step is to pick your subdomain. Quite often people will use their first name, last name, .kw.com. So a subdomain is the part that comes before the .kw.com. If you've got one in there already, that's great. If not, put that in there and hit Confirm Domain. And once that's confirmed, click on Marketing Profile Information to expand your full marketing profile. Now, if you've already filled out your marketing profile from the first video in this series, this should be all filled out for you. If not, go ahead and put all of the information in here. Note all of the required boxes. Contact info, bio, legal footer, any images that you want there, social media links, and save and continue. Now the next screen is where we pick our style and theme. Really there's just red or black. Homepage text, that is the Find Your Dream Home, or the text right above the search box. If you're good with that, just leave it. If you want to change it, go ahead right there. And as you scroll, so this is where you change your hero images. Now the hero images are the large full screen photos that appear on the main page of your website behind that search box. Comes preloaded with a few, and if you'd like to delete them, change them, you can do that here. Just be careful if you're getting images on your own. Don't just go to Google and search for images of a house or a city or a neighborhood and put them in there without making sure that you have the rights to use that photo. If you end up with a photo from something like Getty Images, they will come after you and tell you that, hey, you owe them some money for using their photo without the proper right. If you have listing photos that you've had taken yourself, where you hired the photographer, kind of come out, shoot the listing, you should have the right to use those photos. You can check with your photographer if you have questions, but those photos should be fine to use. So you'd swap out the photos in here if you wanted to make any changes, and save and continue again. The next screen is where you start to build out some of the other pages. So the first page is the company profile. The company profile is meant to be about your brokerage or about your office. I'd go through, on the right-hand side, there's a navigation section, there's a search engine optimization section, which is the first one that opens up, and there's a content section. So search engine optimization is where you put in the information that you want Google to know about what content is on this page. So instead of company profile, I may put my brokerage name. Then for the URL slug, now the slug is the part that comes after the .kw.com. So instead of about us, maybe I would want about Keller Williams Classic Realty and W or something like that. And my SEO description. That is where I have the opportunity to put 1 to 2 sentences telling the search engines what consumers should expect to find on this page. So I could put a short little synopsis of the content I have on the page. I could literally copy a couple of sentences from the page and put them in there. I'm going to leave that blank for right now. I'm going to click on the Content tab next. And under Content, this is where I'm actually changing the material that's showing up on this page. So I could do my brokerage name, maybe about that, whatever. And then my intro paragraph, that text is going to show up right here. Section 1 is right here with this image. Section 2 is right here with this image. And then the footer shows up right here. And when I'm done, I'm going to continue. I've already got mine done, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. Next is my About Me page. That's already filled out for me. I've got the same thing. I've got the search engine optimization, and I've got the content. So I have About Me. If I wanted to say about Marty, whatever I wanted, I could put that in here. Bio, contact info, and continue. Again, I'm going to skip because I've already got this page set up. And then there's a contact us page. Now, if I wanted this to say contact me, I could change it there. And then make sure you change this intro paragraph so it doesn't say optional here. Could put in, fill out the form below and I'll get right back to you. Can change the message hint if I want, verify my contact info, and save and continue. And there we go. That's the basics of setting up the site. Close out of this guide. And if I want to add additional pages, I'm going to go into create a new site in the top right corner here. And I have two options, on my agent site or standalone page. On my agent site is another page for your site, and standalone page would be a landing page. So we're going to select on my agent site and create page. This is the builder. I've got the title up in the top left. Let's make a testimonials page first. Now I've got a blank canvas here in the center of the screen, and on the right-hand side, I have the available widgets. So I have two options here. I can build two separate pages, one for capturing testimonials and one for displaying them, or I could put that all into one page. So let's go ahead and let's put it on one page for this example. I have two options for displaying testimonials. I have the testimonials carousel, which will display 3, and testimonials list, which will display up to 10. So let's take our testimonial capture form and let's drag and drop that over into our blank canvas. There's my capture form. And then let's take that testimonial list and drag that over, and we'll drop that up at the top because I want it to display them first and then capture them second. Once I've got those two pieces in place, I click Configure Widgets. And now I'm going to go through and configure both of those widgets out. So for my headline, let's go see what our clients have to say. Then I can put intro text. You can see the samples over there on the left, and you could type up your own text to really say whatever it is that you're wanting to say. Hear from our past clients about their experiences working with us. What details do I want to display in the testimonial? Do I want their first name and last initial? Do I want just their first name, the city, client since? We'll leave all of those. And then I'd go through and I'd select Browse Testimonials. Now, if I already have some testimonials that have been filled out or submitted on my site, I could go through and I'd be able to select them here, which ones I wanted to display on the site. I don't have any in here right now, so I can't show you that feature, but you would select them and hit Continue. Then up at the top right corner, you can click on the arrow to go onto the second widget. And this is my capture widget. Team name, you'd put in your name or your team name there. Headline text, leave a testimonial. And then I can put in a little bit of text there. And then my review headline, how would you rate your experience? That goes right here. And then I have my review placeholder text, it's your experience, and save and apply. Then you'll see that fill out onto the page, populating the information that we completed on the right. And once we're done, we save changes. Now that that page is saved, you'll see that this eyeball is grayed out. That's because we've made it, we've created it, it's done, it's set up, but it's not published on our site yet. So now we need to add that page to our site. We're going to click on Site and App Settings again and go into Site Pages. This is where we can add it to the menu. So over on the left-hand side, you'll see the menu for my site. I'm going to click Add Page, and you can see all of the pages that you've created. And it's got the date here, which is nice because you can see which one was the most recent. We'll select our testimonials page and hit Continue. Now we're going to give it a title. We'll just go with testimonials. And again, we put in that slug. What do we want to show up here? Testimonials again. And again, that's 1 to 2 sentences where we have the opportunity to tell the search engines what the consumer can expect to find on our site. And when we're done, Save Page Changes. Now that that's been saved, if we hop over to our agent site, on our agent site in the menu is our new testimonials page. And if I had testimonials entered, keep in mind they'd show up at the top here, and then there'd be the form for someone to fill out and add their own testimonial. So if you have testimonials that you have received in the past from Zillow, Realtor.com, Facebook, somewhere else, you could take those, you could go to your site, fill in the context information, and then copy and paste that review in here. And that's how you could get that loaded in here so you'd be able to select it to add it to your page. That's why I kind of like having 2 separate testimonial pages, one that's leave a testimonial, and then another one that's to view the testimonials, because you can easily go to that leave a testimonial page, fill it all out, and do that for all of your testimonials, get them in there. As of right now, you can get up to 12 actually. And once you get them in there, then go in and build your testimonials page for your consumers to see them. So once you've gone through, set up your site, If you go to it and things aren't quite looking right, make sure you check here to make sure this toggle switch is toggled green to use my information to brand my agent site. The next thing that I wanted to show you here in that site and app settings, the other tabs here under general is where you can go through after you already made the site to update that hero text or that text on the main screen, those images on the main screen, and you could add virtual tours. Under URLs, you can see your website URL and your app URL. And then they've now added featured listings. So when you go to featured listings, if you haven't gone through the guide yet, this page is going to probably load with an error. So what you do is you click on Learn More with Kelly Guides in the top right corner, and you are going to complete the Consumer Settings Kelly Guide this time. So I'll hit Continue and get started. Talk about the app a little bit here, so I hit Next. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to click on App Download. So I want to build out my app landing page. I'm going to put in the text that I want to show up on the app page. I just have download my brand new home search app, and it's got my link in there already. So all I have to do is click Next. And then I'm going to toggle on the switch for featured listings. And after I've done that, I have the ability right here to select some featured listings, and I believe you can do, I think it's up to 12. So I'll select those listings in here. Just make sure that they're not from outside of this brokerage. Ideally, you would filter or select your own. I put a couple in here just for demo purposes. And then you're going to save and continue. Now that you've turned on the featured listings, the next thing is you can build out your guides. Now there are a couple of guides that are available. These are the timeline guides. They show up in the website and in the app. In the website, they only show up if somebody has set up their account. But this is going to give people the flow of your business so they can see what your process is. So if I click on Setup over here on the right, I'm going to go through and I'm going to select a template. Let's select the buyer's guide and Next. So in this guide builder, you'd put in the intro text and hit Next. And now they have pre-built the buyer guide and the seller guide in here. And you can go in and you can click on the arrow to see what the text is there and to change it. And then you can delete the step, you could change it out, whatever you want to do there. And you can click over on the right, hold down, and rearrange them. So you can look through and see what all these steps are. Now they were written very well, but they're written to be generic enough that you can just use them the way they are until you do tweak and edit them yourself. I would definitely review them so you know what's in there though. Then I'd hit Next, and I'd go through and add guide, and I'd set up the seller guide. I'm going to hit Next again. Then it gives me the ability to turn on the Promote My App Smart Plan. Now that's just enabling it. Now this Promote My App Smart Plan is set up to send out a really nice looking graphic email with your app link in it the first day that you put somebody on it. And then a few days later, it's going to automatically text them if you've set up Twilio, or it's going to remind you to text them to follow up a few days later and then a few more days later. So I'd recommend at least turning it on here and hit Next. That's it, you completed that guide. So now the app's set up, the website's set up, everything is in place so that when somebody goes to your website and they start to search for homes, so let's look at something in Maple Grove. As they start to look at houses in here, and hey, I like this house, they hit save. It's going to prompt them to make an account. When they do make an account, you're going to get a Kelly notification, and you're going to get a notification in Command under this bell in the top right corner. Then when you go into your contacts, you can click on this last visited column header, and it's going to show you who visited most recently. You're also going to see a check mark, a green check mark, next to contacts that are set up with their account on your site or app, their agent site connection. So if they've got that check mark, you know that they've created an account and they've at least gone on there and started looking. If you go on here and you click on one of your contacts, I'm going to see the information of what they've started to look at, what they started to save. Hey, logged into the agent site. I'm going to start to have visibility into what they're doing and how they're interacting on my site or in my app. And that's pretty awesome because now you've got visibility into what they're doing without them having to necessarily tell you. Now you don't get an individual notification every time they save a property. So I do encourage you to go into Command and click on this last visited column header from time to time just to see who's been active on there recently. One of the other things you can also see in there is as the consumer goes in and they start to look at properties, once they save them, it's going to allow them to select a collection. And a collection is really, honestly, it's very similar to a Pinterest board. So you will see what kind of properties they have in those collections as well. So that is the basic website setup and walkthrough, showing you kind of the different features in there, and then showing how the website works.